So, by popular demand, and hopefully with a working computer, um, we're going to take a look at how to create, how to convert real world teams and stats into Universal Hockey for gameplay. So, I will have a link to this template in the description and also on the Discord. Because this template does a lot of the heavy lifting, does a lot of the sorting for us. As for the league I'm going to convert, I'm going to focus on I'm going to try to do the Olympics from earlier this year. So I just tried to do this and realized that the teams don't necessarily convert their names alphabetically the right way because we speak English and the Olympics speak French. So, uh, but we're going to put the names of our teams in here, and they're going to convert over here. This is just going to give you straight up the numbers at the end, so you could just take this, copy and paste with by value, and there you go. Uh, but anyway, you have Canada, Czechia, Denmark, France, Finland, Germany, Italy, Latvia, Switzerland, Sweden, Slovakia, and the United States. Okay, so there are 5 stats in Universal Hockey: offense, defense, discipline, goaltending, fighting. Um, and really simply what we do is we choose a stat for each of these. We sort by it, and then we put that information gets sorted here, and then that will give us their rating 1 through 5. In general, I like to have fewer 5s and 1s and more 4, 3s, and 2s in the middle. That tends to mean that, uh, in most hockey leagues, you kind of have to think about the league that you're running in order to make this work. Uh, that's going to give you a pretty decent parity. That being said, at the Olympics this year, we saw a fair amount of uh, uh, lack of parity for what it's worth. So you could make it 5-5, 4-4, 3-3-3, 2-2-1-1 down at the bottom. And what's basically going to happen is we're going to fill out this column. It's going to sort the information in this column, and then over here, we're going to look to find the appropriate rating based off of the number in this column and this column. And that handles the sorting for us. It also handles ties, so that if you have 2 teams that come up with the same number of, say, shots or penalties, then they're going to end up in here handling that appropriately. So first off, in shots on for offense, I've been doing a lot of this through Hockey Reference, and Hockey Reference has shots on goal over the course of a season. So that's a pretty good number. If your league doesn't have shots on goal, you can of course use goals for. That's a pretty good indicator as well. But we are going to use shots on goal for this one because we can. The Olympics provides that information. And I just thought of this. Something that's going to kind of be a problem for us is this games played column. So what I'm actually going to do, you don't have to worry about this for most things, but we're going to do some quick calculations here in order to just get a number based off of the games played. So 5, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. All right, great. Do I have 12? Did I do that right? Great. Okay, so in order to convert this, and you shouldn't need to do this normally because and that way we can keep filling it out up here. So that way Canada's 243 shots on goal over 6 games comes out to 40 shots per game. We're going to do it like that. Let's keep column A the same. Do that again. And if we did this right, perfect. And then at the end, we'll take this and we'll paste the values back up into here. This way, this sort of sorts out kind of their average number of shots per game, and hopefully that will keep it kind of accurate here. 2, Italy is 79. We're looking at the shots on goal column. Latvia is 96. 171, 203, 185, 229. So, okay, so great. We can take that, put it up into here. We're going to clean that up a little bit. And as you can see, these, can get rid of that. So it sorts this out and identifies Sweden and Canada as the two most prolific offenses of the tournament. So that seems to check out for us. Finland and the United States are second, and then Italy and France down at the bottom. So that seems to have done everything we wanted. Now, if you're asking how accurate is this system, the answer is I don't care. What I'm really looking for is just to get a vague idea of where teams are and sort of get an indicator of how teams are handled. And I think we're going to see that with shots against here in a second, or shots saved by goalie. So shots saved by goalie is how we're going to indicate defense. And here's my logic here. You can see I can utilize shots against. You could also do goals against is you could kind of do goals against, but if you can get shots against, I really recommend that. Or saves is a pretty close indicator of shots against, because really what we're looking for is defenses that allow a lot of shots on goals. So if we go over here to goals allowed, SVS is saves. So, that's usually an indicator that a lot of saves are happening, or a lot of saves is an indicator that you're letting a lot of shots in on your goalie. And whether or not your goalie is actually making those saves, really that's what we're looking for. 46, 189, 99 saves by Latvia. That seems low, but down here, if we look at the conversion, yeah, it's you have to remember they only played 4 games, so that's something that's going to help. Switzerland 138, Sweden 127, 192, and 149. Looking at the right column. I think oh, we do have shots on goal. Okay, this is weird to me because it's listed as shots on goal, but because we're looking at goals allowed, that is what it is. So yeah, let's use that then. 139, 163 against for France, 168 for Italy, but remember they played more, or for Finland, but they played more games. Same with Germany with 163. Italy breaking the 200 barrier. Latvia 116. Switzerland 149, Sweden 139, 214 for Slovakia, and 158 for the United States. So, again, if we go down here, take this, bring it up, bring that back down. So this, again, what we're looking for is that ideally the U.S. and Canada are probably going to be our 2 better teams. Sweden and Finland should both be in the middle. Italy and France should probably both be at the bottom. So I think we did a good job there. All right. So next up is going to be discipline. So you could probably guess discipline is going to be based off of penalties or penalty minutes. So we're going to do penalties, games played, and we have penalty minutes. Great. We'll utilize that. Sort the teams by this again. So penalty minutes, and again, we're going to convert to an average per game. That's all this is doing. Uh, 32, 40, 64, 58. Still going? Great. I had one recording die already, so I'm really just a tiny bit paranoid right now. Okay, and again, what are we going to be looking for here? It's like I don't really remember any team from the Olympics being particularly dirty. Um, Something that I tend to notice though is that teams that are doing a lot of scoring and doing a lot of skating around tend to get called more. I don't know if that's what the logic is for that, but it is there. France down at the bottom again. My God. Um, and Slovakia here. You'll also see that made our fight number appear with the calculation that I'm using for fighting, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, we're going to do the last one that's really obvious, and that is save percentage. So we're going to go back to goals allowed. Save percentage. Saves as percentage of total shots on goal. I guess that's what we're looking for. It's weird to see it as like, instead of like 0.99. Oh, because it's doing the full percentage and not just the decimal. Okay. All right, so no. Though that does, right away, we know that's a good indicator because Hellebuck, by far, just stood on his head for the last few games. So, yeah, that is what it is. And the good news is we don't need to do a conversion for this one. This is already a percentage based off of the number of shots faced, so it should already factor in teams that played more games. Just kind of rambling tonight. Hope everyone had a good day. 7. Now we're going to go down to Italy. 85.34, 0.62, 91.37, 89.72, 94.3, and yeah, that should yep, the US ended up with 5, and that's the big thing I was looking for. Finland had good goaltending too. So yeah, and so we have the results. So now another quick indicator you can use, and this is something I've sort of done, is sort of a modified average. So offense times 4 plus defense times 4, because those are by far the two most important ones, plus 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sure, we'll autofill that. That calculation, and this should really give us a proper power ranking of the teams. So yeah, again, our big 4, US, Sweden, Finland, and Canada all come up at the top, up, and then Italy, France at the bottom, with Latvia, Denmark in the next bracket, and then Slovakia, Switzerland, Slovakia, Chechnya, and Germany. So we know we did a pretty good job there. Last up, I'm going to talk about this fight column. Now, in a lot of levels of hockey, you just don't see fighting the way that you saw in the NHL, especially in like the 70s and 80s. So it's hard to indicate that, and the way fighting is used in the game is more of like just overall intimidation. Also, so it can be hard to actually quantify. So there are a couple of different ways to handle that. If you want ultimate chaos, you just make everybody's fight score 3. That really balances it out. You can, if you have, we might have it here, just out of curiosity. This is a weird number to me. Average attendance. Is that our team stats? I'm not going to do anything with that now. Anyway, but if you have a team's weight, that maybe could be an indicator here. Maybe, and I don't even think that's that particularly helpful. If you have the what I usually do is I just take 6 minus whatever the discipline is, and that gives you sort of the inverse number. So if you have a 1 in discipline, you have a 5 in fighting, i.e. intimidation. And that does a couple things. One, for teams that are really bad, it gives you sort of that you can start a fight, though, if you want to try to get a little bit of an advantage. So you have something like that you can hang your head on, as well as sort of an inverse if you have a high discipline, like more of a game balancer kind of thought to it. Alternatively, you could just go off of vibes. You could just say, no, I think this team was dirty, and we're going to give them a really high fight score because they got in a lot of fights. That one's very much up to you on how you want to do it, but by far for me, the cleanest way is just 6 minus whatever discipline will give you the fight score. All right. So, thank you very much for watching. If you don't want to go through this effort for the NHL or PWHL, you don't have to. There is alongside Universal Hockey, there is the almanacs, which give you historical data for the NHL, PWHL, and then I think as well we're going to have the WHL and NCAA men's. Those are the ones I have in my head that I'm working on right now, so those will be coming soon. And you can get them on the Kickstarter. So thank you, and catch you later.